Ladies and men walk down the center walk and show off various modest and yet extremely stylish but wearable outfits. The snapshots are blinding in legion. Amongst the various attendees of the show is one jet phoenix, standing in the crowd, but not too far to the back. A plain smile plays across his face as he is here on business. Rack's business.
Enjoying the show, Mr. Phoenix?
A familiar-looking young aide stood next to the tall, tux-clad man with a tablet tucked under her arm.
I am, Miss... Oh, I work for... well, you know her as Lucia.
The aide smirked. Oh, Adam stifled a chuckle.
She would like to know if you would join her.
She pointed to the front of the walk, and there the lady from the gala was. She nodded. Adam returned the nod, and watched her eventually return her gaze to the show.
I'm fine right here, actually. Oh.
The aide seemed a little surprised.
Okay, I'll inform her.
She marched off. Adam turned back to the show, and then scanned the crowd again.
Our acts must have no faith in this endeavor, or no long-term interest, whatever this plan is. It must not serve its purposes, and I suppose it's time to go then, as interesting as this is. Well, at least I have a solid look on our investment since Night Shadow approved the numbers. I see you turned down my invitation. I'm a little hurt, Mr. Phoenix. I don't give those out often.
She had gotten up from her spot at the front of the catwalk to visit him.
Well, I don't like to be in the spotlight,
he answered.
You could have left your investment anonymous if you were embarrassed. No. How do you think you didn't know my name before we met at the gala? Exactly this. You enjoy your privacy. Unlike you, Lucia, I don't need publicity to make money. Fair enough. And I don't need to battle my pride any more than I already do.
Oh, a man of character. She looked at him with genuine appreciation as he continued to seemingly scan the models.
So, planning on purchasing any clothing for yourself?
Possibly.
And maybe for someone special?
Definitely.
Oh. Is there a Mrs. Phoenix?
Yes. Adam noticed her countenance fall back to very professional. But we're divorced. She perked back up, but only slightly.
Ah, you haven't seen that one either. What?
I'm single. It was a line from a favorite movie, he revealed.
Oh. May I see it sometime? Miss Lucia, did you just ask me out on a date?
Maybe, she said as she walked back to her seat, throwing a knowing glance over her shoulder, till she sat purposefully, keeping her gaze away from his, as she smiled at the show. Suddenly her aide leaned in, and whispered into her ear.
Miss, there's something that needs your attention in the back.
She nodded, and decided to take one last glance at Mr. Phoenix as a goodbye before leaving the show. But when she looked back, he couldn't be found. Outside, Adam walked out to his car around the corner from all the commotion, when a sudden scream cried out, but was cupped. He spun and listened, and then sprinted into an alley. He peeked around the corner, and saw several men passing women like logs into a van in the fog. They suddenly leapt into the back, and slammed the doors shut, and the engine revved as they started off. Adam sprinted behind them, and reached behind his back for a smaller, hidden emergency boomerang, and chucked it with all his might. It stabbed into the back of the black van, and a small tracking light flashed red. He turned and ran equally as quick to his black sports car and gunned it in their direction. A call came through.
How's the show, Adam? Kathy, I need you to find me the fastest route to catch up with this van. Don't let me lose it in the fog. I think I have another lead on the human traffickers. I just saw some models leaving the show. They can't stay all night, Adam. It's an easy job, but it has to end sometime. They were being hauled off, like laundry. Take a right up here, and you'll be parallel to them on the other side of those buildings.
Adam yanked the wheel and drifted his car through a light around a corner.
I'll suit up, grab your gear, and head out in another vehicle to catch up. No time. They will have them shot up and shipped out by then. I just have to use my spare in the car.
But it has light gear and almost no armor, barely enough for surveillance.
It'll be just like the early days.
Blue, please be careful. I'll head out as soon as I can.
Fine, but come prepared. You aren't going to get hauled off with them like some kind of prize to be sold.
The van stopped up ahead. Wow, that's a rough part of town.
Now show them rough,
he said as he pulled on his mask. Looking down at his belt, he found only 6 boomerangs, and that was it.
It'll have to do.
Inside a warehouse, men haul several thrashing ladies off, some laying deadly still out of fear. Suddenly, Blue sprinted around a corner from a hall, dark back alley entrance, and chucked clusters of razor boomerangs at the armed thugs, then leapt and kicked one in the face, and used that momentum to drag the other to the ground. By then, men had reached for guns and knives, and had already turned in his direction. But he was now behind one thug, on the ground, and a machine gun in his hand and the trigger down, firing above their heads to get them to duck. They all dove behind tables to flip, and boxes to use as cover. They returned fire when the mag ran dry, but only to find their buddy out cold, his broken, swollen finger jammed in front of the trigger. Suddenly a man screamed out as the nasty sound of forehead-on-metal crate resounded through the air. They all spun and shot that box up too. Ladies laid nearby and cried muffled screams through their gags. One saw a shadow shift in the corner toward them. It was Blue. He caught her glance and pulled a finger up to his lips to quiet her. She stayed quiet, but another girl spotted her friend intensely staring at something she couldn't see as she was tied up, and started screaming out through the cloth. Blue jerked his head up at the sound of a thug finding him because of the noise, and he rose to uppercut the man. But another leapt in from the side, tackling him into some crates. Blue blocked and countered with a jab, then leg-checked the man to throw him off balance, and brought an elbow down onto the back of his neck, right as another leapt into the battle as well, slamming Blue into the metal grating of the steel crate. Blue slammed 2 clamped fists down onto the man's spine, and his knees buckled, but not before bullets ricocheted off the metal around him, and he spun and leapt behind some more boxes, only for them to turn to Swiss cheese as well.
Well, this isn't looking great. Kathy, I'm sorry,
Adam?
I'm not gonna...
Is there a way out? Can you find the east wall? There should be a window there.
I can barely see. This place is so dusty, and the lights aren't all on. No, it can't end like this,
He thought.
I have to escape. I can't let them get to me. I've seen what they do to people. I have to escape. No!
And Blue leaped into the fire, wild-eyed, and slammed into 2 thugs that just dashed to that spot to fire on his hiding place. But then 2 more tackled him, and they all slid into the center of the warehouse. He fought, and blocked, and swung madly.
It's all getting hazy. I can't see that well. I'm gonna die! I don't want to die!
Smash! The skylight blasted inward, as something crashed in, bringing the fog outside in with it. An infinite black shadow of dark slid in with a large humanoid figure dragging it. Adam's eyes went wide as he saw it, and all the men looked up and stared, mouths agape. And then the lights went out, and the eyes returned. Cyan blazing light, freakishly blaring a frightful stare that penetrated the soul. It came straight down at all of them. Everyone ran and dove. Adam rolled. The thing landed gracefully where they all once were. Its hideous shadow, or cloak or cape, or pure darkness that encompassed it reached out as if to grasp all of them and drag them to hell. Some men swatted at it. Others turned their guns towards it. The being lifted a hand, and suddenly one thug lit with a brilliant blue arc of electricity. The same with another it pointed at. Then a terrible sound erupted from the creature, as if a legion of keening demons filled the very air around them. Others at this point dropped their guns and ran, holding their ears. They fell over boxes and tools and pallets in their panic, as the cyan glow was the only light in the darkness. Blue could only stare in terror. Then its terrifying gaze turned toward him, as if a blaring light of judgment onto his very position. The dark was no longer his ally. He had merely adopted the dark. This was the dark, born of it, and it was here, but not for him. And it turned its terrible gaze away and toward the one thug who decided to attack his fear in blind panic, screaming as he did. He suddenly lifted into the air seamlessly, not landing a single blow, as the glowing gaze pointed up at its new victim and bent him until he screamed, then brought him down so hard he immediately went silent.
Kathy, it's here. I can't. Kathy.
Blue fumbled around in the dark until finally he came to what felt like a door and stumbled outside. The fog was thick, and the rain was already falling as he stumbled out into an alley. A car. Was it his? Maybe. He fumbled at his belt. A door opened. He crawled inside. And suddenly he woke up. Adam sat up in bed. He felt groggy. Kathy came in, as did Night Shadow.
What? You were drugged. How? We found you in your car, barely conscious, mumbling something about the darkness is coming. You were feverish and your pulse was racing. We thought you were going to die.
We tested your blood when you got back and got worse. We found you inhaled an airborne toxin. It seems to have induced raw panic as it entered your bloodstream. We suspect it was
the same as the last encounter I had with it in the abandoned building.
Adam slid his legs over the side of the bed and thought.
We added a form of antitoxin as best we could muster compared to its basic chemical structure. It took the edge off until you could recover.
What were its side effects? Do you remember anything? What happened this time? Shadow Knight pried.
I felt just like a child.
Kathy and Shadow stood and stared at Adam's intense stare into nothing as the memories flooded his mind.
He came in through the skylight. Nothing escaped his dark grasp. It hit men with lightning. It had tremendous strength to lift them and break them. And the sound was horrible. And those eyes, those terrible eyes.
Calm down, Adam. Come back to us. There are still some lingering effects we expect to leave your system as soon as you fully metabolize the remaining toxin in your cells. Adam snapped out of it and turned back to them.
The toxin, huh? Well, we can fix that, can't we?
Kathy chimed in.
We sure can. I have a tactical air filter design ready to go.
Then it's time to see what that Mr. Thing looks like without the gas, and to find out who this really is.
Another note of interest. Shadow added. It seems every one of the ladies were recovered without injury.
That's good. And odd.
Exactly. No effects of the gas in their system whatsoever. Adam looked up at this. Night Shadow shared his gaze. Kathy looked to both of them and waited.
Whoever this is inoculated the ladies so they wouldn't feel the effects.
Night Shadow gave a half smile.
It's not someone we know, is it?
Kathy only half-jokingly added, but actually wondered. Night Shadow smiled. Not that I know of. This honestly doesn't fit any description of any hero I've ever heard of.
Well, next time we'll be ready, and I'll find out.
There is one other thing, Adam.
Adam turned around. Kathy found a new lead.